Let's not sugarcoat this. If it happens, it would be one of the most seismic trades in NFL history. Tyreek Hill isn't just a receiver. He's a game wrecker, a weapon so dynamic he can shift the tide of a contest with a single touch. Pair him again with Mahomes, and you unleash an offense that could be even deadlier than before. And let's rewind to his final season with the Chiefs in 2022. Hill led the NFL in receiving yards with 1,799 and hauled in 13 touchdowns, a career high. Even in Miami, he proved he's still a top-tier threat, putting up 959 yards and 6 scores in 2023, despite the instability caused by Tua Tagovailoa's injuries. Here's the bottom line. Kansas City could be on the verge of adding a battle-tested, electrifying weapon who already knows the system inside and out. If they want to ascend back to the summit of the NFL and finally capture that elusive third straight Lombardi trophy, a move like this might be the missing piece. A Hill-Mahomes reunion wouldn't just turn heads, it would send shockwaves across the league, and if the Chiefs can pull it off, they'd instantly reassert themselves as the team to beat. But make no mistake, it won't come cheap. Hill's price tag is hefty, and Miami isn't going to part ways with their star wideout for scraps. Kansas City's front office will need to be methodical, strategic, and maybe even ruthless in their approach. Tough choices lie ahead, but if they make it work, the Chiefs could be stacked for years to come. Let's take a step back. We all know Tyreek Hill is one of the most electric playmakers in the league. Since day one in Kansas City, he's been a human highlight reel. Blazing speed, ridiculous acceleration, and the uncanny ability to torch defenses deep downfield. He was the engine behind some of the most dangerous offensive units the NFL has ever seen. And let's not forget, the Mahomes to Hill connection was lethal. A quarterback who can effortlessly sling it 60 yards and a receiver who can outrun just about anyone. That's a matchup nightmare. Now, Hill's thriving in Miami, but the real question is, can the Chiefs recapture the magic? Can they reunite the duo that once terrorized defenses every single week? Let's be honest, Hill's return is incredibly enticing, but it comes with a price. Miami is reportedly asking for 2 first-round picks. That's not a small ask, and it's not something you give up without serious thought. However, this could just be a negotiation ploy. Miami might be aiming high, fully expecting counteroffers. And here's where it gets interesting. The Chiefs have a savvy front office, proven time and time again to be capable of making championship-caliber moves. With Mahomes, Reed, and Kelsey, they've built a modern dynasty. But one thing remains missing, a true WR1. Kelsey is phenomenal, but let's be real. He's a tight end, not a field-stretching receiver. And while he's one of the greatest ever, he doesn't deliver the same game-breaking presence as a top-flight wideout. That's where Tyreek Hill comes in. Bring Hill back, and suddenly Mahomes has a weapon that can stretch the field, dominate coverage, and alleviate pressure on Kels. You reestablish offensive balance and explosive potential. So what will it cost? We already know the Dolphins want 2 firsts, but will the Chiefs pay that premium? That's the gamble. They must weigh the long-term value of those picks against the immediate firepower Hill would provide. But here's the reality. Tyreek Hill is still in his prime. At 31, he's shown no real signs of decline. He remains one of the most dangerous players in football. If Kansas City truly wants to reignite their offense, reassert dominance, and cement their legacy, this move could be exactly what the dynasty needs. And when you reunite Tyreek Hill with Patrick Mahomes, you're not just assembling an offense, you're creating an unstoppable force capable of overwhelming any defense in the league. Now let's talk about Xavier Worthy. The young wideout out of Texas is certainly an exciting prospect. He's flashed big whip ability and carries loads of potential. But let's be brutally honest, he's not Tyreek Hill. Worthy is still learning the ropes, still evolving. He might become a star one day, but he's not the kind of player who can transform a game in an instant the way Hill can. So here's the real question. If you're Kansas City, is it worth parting ways with a rising talent like Worthy for the chance to bring the Cheetah back? If you ask me, the answer is a resounding yes. Worthy is promising, but Hill is proven, and when you're chasing championships, potential doesn't outweigh production. Let me tell you something right now. There's a storm forming in Kansas City, and it carries a name, Tyreek Hill. That's right, the former Chief, the electrifying playmaker who turned the league upside down with his unmatched speed, swagger, and clutch performances, could be on the verge of a stunning return to the very city where it all began. Picture this: Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, and the Chiefs' high-octane offense reunited with the one man who redefined explosiveness on the gridiron. But hold up, it's not as straightforward as it sounds. This isn't just another reunion, it's a high-stakes power move that could reshape the entire landscape of the NFL. Don't blink, stick with me to the end. If you still believe in the Chiefs dynasty, smash that like button, drop a W if you're all in, or an L if you've lost the faith, and hit that subscribe to stay locked in as we break down every major move coming out of Kansas City. Let's dive in. The Kansas City Chiefs were a force of nature last season. No debate. They reached their third consecutive Super Bowl, which is an achievement in itself. But let's be real, the journey wasn't flawless. There was one glaring deficiency that stood out: a lack of explosive firepower at the wide receiver position. Yes, Mahomes remains the most gifted quarterback in the game. Andy Reid is a schematic genius, and Travis Kelce, one of the greatest tight ends the sport has ever witnessed. But outside of those core stars, the offensive arsenal felt incomplete. Wideouts, not named Xavier, simply failed to rise to the occasion, and it showed, especially when it mattered most. The Chiefs still made it to the Super Bowl, but they came up short. They couldn't deliver in the clutch, and the offense sputtered under pressure. The absence of a true game-breaking receiver was a pivotal factor in why the Lombardi Trophy slipped through their fingers. Let's call it like it is. Mahomes and Reid are legendary, but even legends need the right weapons. When defenses can hone in on one primary threat and neutralize the rest, even the most brilliant minds can be stifled. Now, here's the truth. The Chiefs front office has done a commendable job constructing a perennial contender. Through savvy draft picks, intelligent trades, and calculated free agent signings. But one critical void remains: they still lack that elite, game-altering wide receiver who can shift momentum with a single touch. Yes, Kelce is still dominant, but Father Time is undefeated. His clock is ticking, and Kansas City must plan for the inevitable. So where does that leave the Chiefs? You may want to look south, to Miami, where Tyreek Hill has continued to make waves in a Dolphins uniform. And yes, you read that correctly. There's a very real possibility Hill could make a return to Kansas City. Hill's contract is approaching its final stretch. And while he's still producing at a high level, Miami's front office is reassessing his long-term future. At 31 years old, Hill isn't getting any younger, and the Dolphins may not be keen on extending a massive new deal unless they're convinced he can maintain elite production deep into his 30s. Add to that a rocky 2023 season hampered by quarterback Tua Tagovailoa's injuries, and suddenly the idea of a trade doesn't seem far-fetched. If you're the Chiefs, this is your moment. You can almost feel the excitement building at the idea of welcoming the Cheetah back into the fold. Now, let's be realistic. Miami's not just going to hand Hill over. Rumors suggest they're demanding at least 2 first-round picks to entertain the idea of a trade. But Kansas City has assets. The most intriguing name? Xavier. The rookie from Texas has flashed serious upside, but is he the long-term answer? It's a gamble. Beyond Kelce and Worthy, the receiving core is thin. Trading Worthy would sting, but it could be a calculated sacrifice if it means acquiring a proven elite talent like Hill. And if Kansas City can pull off the trade using a second-rounder plus Worthy, that's a heist. Hill may be 31, but he's still one of the most dangerous offensive weapons in the NFL. And a reunion with Mahomes? That's not just nostalgia, it's championship ambition. Tyreek Hill's return to Kansas City could catapult the Chiefs' offense to unprecedented heights. But there's another layer to this narrative. Hill's contract is positioned for renegotiation after the 2025 season. If Kansas City can engineer a deal that softens the financial blow of a long-term extension, this move could become a mutual triumph. The Chiefs would regain their elite offensive catalyst without draining their financial reserves, while Hill could close out his legendary career alongside Mahomes, Reid, and the very team that helped him become a household name. Here's where things get interesting. Miami has been holding firm on their asking price, 2 first-round picks, but let's be real, that could just be negotiation posturing. The Chiefs might be able to pull off a deal with a package of Worthy and a second-round pick, and that could be enough to get Miami to say yes. And let's not forget, Hill already knows the Chiefs system inside and out. He's not just a fit. He's plug-and-play perfection. No adjustment period, no learning curve, just immediate lethal impact. But there's a business angle to consider. Hill is still a superstar, and once his current contract ends, he's going to demand a massive extension, likely around $90 million, 0 cents post-2025. That could make things complicated, unless the Chiefs strike a short-term deal. If they can work out a flexible contract that doesn't cripple the cap, it becomes a win-win. Kansas City gets their game changer. Hill gets to finish his legendary run where it all started. Now, let's talk impact. Reuniting Mahomes, Kelce, and Hill, that's not just big, it's terrifying. Hill stretches the field like no other, forces defenses into panic, and frees up space and opportunity for Kelce underneath. With Hill back, Mahomes regains his deep threat assassin, and the Chiefs become the most explosive offense in football once again. And don't forget what Hill accomplished in his prime with the Chiefs. He led the NFL in receiving yards and touchdowns, proof that his dominance wasn't a phase. Even in Miami, he continued to be elite. But this isn't just about stats. Hill's return would send a clear, defiant message to the rest of the NFL. We're not done. We're not settling. We're building a dynasty. This move would instantly vault Kansas City back into the Super Bowl favorite conversation, not just for 1 year, but for years to come. If the Chiefs land Hill, they'll have one of the most complete and dangerous rosters in the AFC, if not the entire league. And that's a terrifying proposition for everyone else. So, what's the bottom line? Kansas City needs to make this trade happen. They've got the capital, they've got the leverage, and if they play it right, they can bring back one of the most electrifying playmakers the game has ever seen. Tyreek Hill is a proven game changer, and if Mahomes and Reed can get him back in red and gold, then the sky isn't the limit. It's just the beginning. Call to action. All right, Chiefs Kingdom, it's your time. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Should the Chiefs make the move? Is Hill the missing piece to another Super Bowl run? Hit that like button if you believe the Cheetah needs to come home. Subscribe for more breaking updates, insider news, and trade rumors from around the league. This might just be the move that cements a legacy, and you do not want to miss what happens next. Y'all better buckle up, because what I'm about to lay down might be the very difference between the Kansas City Chiefs hoisting that Lombardi trophy again, or watching another franchise claim their crown. I don't care if you bleed red and gold. If you're not locked in on this one move, you're not serious about winning. This ain't fantasy. This is football reality pounding at your front door. If you're tired of watching Patrick Mahomes drag this franchise on his back like a warrior in battle, listen up. Word for word. Stay tuned till the end. Smash that like button. Drop a W if you still believe in the dynasty. Drop an L if you're losing faith. Hit subscribe so you never miss the moves that matter most. Now, let's get to it. Let me tell y'all something that's going to ruffle some feathers, but it needs to be said. As brilliant as Mahomes has made these last few seasons look, as dominant as the Chiefs have been, they're playing with fire. And I don't mean the kind that lights up scoreboards. I'm talking about the kind that burns dynasties to ashes if left unchecked. See, while the world's mesmerized by Mahomes breaking ankles, throwing no-look bombs, and pulling miracles out of nowhere, they forget this ain't the end. One man can't carry a franchise forever, and in 2024, Kansas City made the same fatal error again. Now, I already hear some of y'all, we got Mahomes, we're good. Nah, that's lazy thinking. Mahomes is him, no debate. But even Superman gets tired. Even Michael Jordan needed Pippen. You think Mahomes wants to play hero every snap? Dodging blitzes, reading coverages, and getting clobbered because you refuse to build a legitimate ground game? That's not sustainable. Let's hit you with a cold, hard truth. In 2024, the Chiefs ranked dead last in explosive run rate, just 4.7%. That's not just bad, it's embarrassing. The Browns, the Raiders, teams that didn't even sniff the playoffs, had more 10-plus yard runs than the Chiefs. That's not just a stat, that's a red flag the size of Arrowhead Stadium, waving in your face like a bullfighter in Madrid. And newsflash, you don't win multiple Super Bowls with red flags in your backfield. Now, don't get it twisted, I'm not here to disrespect Isaiah Pacheco. That man runs like he's mad at the earth itself. He brings fire. But you can't expect him to be your sole home run threat. Kareem Hunt? Respect what he's done, but he's not that 2017 nightmare anymore. He's a rotational piece now, and that's okay. But Kansas City doesn't need okay. They need fear. They need a back that keeps defensive coordinators up at night, a dude who can take a handoff and vanish into the end zone. You know who that is? Breece Hall. Yeah, I said it. This man was built for the big stage. I don't care that his 2024 numbers dipped. 4.2 yards per carry, 0.12 EPA per rush. Put him behind a Jets O-line that couldn't block a stiff breeze and see how you do. Now imagine him in a Chiefs offense with Mahomes, Kelsey, and Andy Reid dialing up plays like they're cooking Sunday dinner. You've got something lethal. He doesn't need 25 carries. Give Breece Hall 10-15 meaningful touches behind a solid offensive line, and he's turning 6-yard runs into 26-yard breakaways. You give Mahomes that kind of support, that kind of breathing room, good luck stopping Kansas City. Now let's talk business. The Jets just drafted Braylon Allen and Isaiah Davis, two young, hungry backs they clearly want to develop. That tells you everything. Breece Hall is not in their long-term vision, unless he re-signs on a discount, and let's be honest, he shouldn't. The man deserves a bag with their new GM, Darren Mogi, coming from Denver, a team known for pinching pennies at the RB position. You really think Hall's getting paid? Nah, he's as good as gone. If Kansas City's smart, they'll pick up the phone yesterday. Picture this. Mahomes drops back, defense rolls into cover 2. Boom, swing pass to Hall in the flat. One cut gone. Next drive, play action. Hall sells the run. Defense bites. Mahomes drops a 40-yard dime to Rashee Rice or Kelsey. Now the defense is on skates. They can't just stack the box. They can't sell out to pressure Mahomes, not with Breece Hall lurking in that backfield. See you next video.